Okay, so it's 6:25 on Monday the 2nd, which today I think I'm gonna have to go get some water. I'm just gonna have to go get some. That I'm so out of it. It's crazy how deep of I'm going into these dreams. It is in it, it's like I'm interacting with all these people, and all this stuff is going on. And this one, because Stella woke me up. I think I looked at my phone. She's woke me up a couple times, but I looked at my phone, I think at the one where she wanted to go outside. I was waiting to shut the door again, and because my dogs all open the doors, but I have to shut them. And that's why I wish that somebody would start learning how to shut the door. But so I looked at my phone and it was like 4:11 or something. It was like, no fucking way. I am way too out of it to get up at this point. I was just like, no way. I'm so tired. So I lay back down. She came in. She had a little hissy, but then she went back to sleep. So I just let them out in like a second. And I was with these people, and I don't even, like, it's so weird. Because something about, like, my car was broken down. I was trying to get a ride in a taxi. Or I was trying to get them to drop me off somewhere. It was like this whole weird thing. It's so involved. It's just like being in another world. It's just like going and living a different life for a little while. And then she started whining and woke me up out of it. And it's like I still am like, I don't feel like I'm fully here. Like part of me is still over there, wherever I was. It's like I'm not all the way here. So I feel totally out of it. And what I had seen this morning is so the Schumann's going crazy. I saw that yesterday afternoon. The Schumann's going crazy, doing things that they hadn't seen before, which is kind of like before when it seemed like it was coming from the top. Now it's coming from the bottom. But it's like, was it always coming from the bottom? It seems like it was coming from the top, but now it's coming from the bottom, and there's colors going through the colors. So it is wild looking compared to what it used to be. Used to go down and do these big whiteouts and blackouts and stuff, and they would all be they'd all be like, oh, we just time shifted or time jumped or whatever it is they say. And I would always pay attention what's going on in my life, what's happening in my reality. And I mean, if your world is time jumping, I don't know, because everything seems the same to me. But but now there's all these, oh man, I'm saying it got hot. All of these, and I'm really jam packed in here. Archie is right here. I've got the thing in front of me with the cord thing. The ottomans. I'm jam packed. All right, go turn off some heat. It's so cold outside in the morning. It's so cold, but then now all of a sudden I'm hot. I really want to turn off this heater. Hold on, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna scoot around here and go do it. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So, anyways, my nose was itchy. I got the fucking allergies. And yesterday, I did some videos of the sky because it was wild looking, the colors and stuff. And you could see like this layer of pollution for a while. Oh, I feel so out of breath too. God, this energy is intense. So, anyways, I was looking out and did a couple videos, and so many more people are catching on and talking about, what's really going on. And oh my gosh, my mind is being bombarded right now of what's going on, of different things I saw, which I'm going to try and talk about them all. But it seems like there's a lot. So, anyways, so my scab is wild looking. I got the allergies. No telling if I got something worse. I'm not going to go in and ask them. But, my dogs have got things going on. So the and somebody did tests on the snow in Texas, and it has come back just what you would imagine, full of everything that we shouldn't be taking in unless we are on a death mission. So anyways, but that's, basically what we got going on. I saw different people talking about the shift in the Schumann and the earth frequency and all of this stuff going on. And oh yeah, and this other guy too. Oh my God, there's a lot. Okay, just gotta take a big breath. Oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna do my best. Okay, so especially because oh God, I feel out of it. Okay, so the shift. One of the things I saw, it was talking about the people of higher vibration were going to be leaving. That's what, kind of like the rapture, kind of the story that it holds. But to me, I've always thought, well, I think it's the opposite, especially if you think or you consider the earth is raising its vibration. And so why would the high vibration people leave the high vibration place and go somewhere else and leave the low vibration people on the high vibration planet? And that doesn't make any sense to me. So to me, the rapture has always seemed that the lower vibration separates from the higher vibration, and the higher vibration rides the planet like a comet to a new existence, like a big bang occurs, and it's like we're riding this comet to the creation of the new world. And which is kind of trippy. Yeah, this just all of a sudden popped into my mind, because the guy who, it was an NDE, and it was a kid, and it was so much about hell and heaven and Jesus. Of course, he interacted with Jesus, but I swear to God, it has to do with what you think is going to happen. It has to do with your programming. And in his, he came out of his body, and it was like instantaneously. He was just walking through the parking lot at school with his friends. Somebody hit him and killed him. And he could see everybody gathering around him, screaming and yelling and stuff. And he all of a sudden was out of there. He said he was in the dark and he could feel all of this stuff around him. I've heard people on like mushrooms or DHT, some kind of hallucinogenic, have these same kind of experiences too. I think even some like drug addicts and stuff like that, that's why they become so aware of the battle between the light and the dark, because that is a huge thing. If you've been around people who are mentally ill, they all are very aware of the battle between the light and the dark, and they talk about it nonstop. And so, but they don't talk about it as the light and the dark. They talk about it as the devil and God and the demons and stuff. They're very aware of all of that stuff. And the, so the, where am I? So he leaves his body and he goes into this dark place where he hears, and he can hear all these whispering and voices and stuff, but he can't make them out, but he can sense them. He can sense them watching him and stuff, which is creepy as fuck. Like, give me a fucking break, man. I don't want to be going to any place like that. So then he feels like the darkness is surrounding him, and then all of a sudden Jesus comes in, and the light arrives and plucks him out of the darkness and tells him, no, he's mine, and brings him up to the heavens. And then he has this interaction with him when she starts showing him his past life, which this is so common. I mean, not his past life, his life that he's in. It's his life review. I mean, you hear this across the board when you listen to NDEs. That's why I say it with such confidence. Like, you're going to have a life review, and it has to do with you looking at your life and figuring out, like, because when you see it through a different perspective, you gain perspective on yourself. And so it gives you clarity Would I do that again? You learn. And so, and that's what everything is about. Everything is about learning and growing. And even think about in the micro macro, what do we create here? Education systems to grow and to learn, because it's like it's inside of us. And then these beings over here who are in control of us, they know that. So then they create their education system to give us the indoctrination that they require to keep us under their control. Which this whole thing about Nicki Minaj too, which is weird because now people are showing this Cambodian princess from 2,000 years ago or something, that she looks exactly like Nicki, and her name was Nicki Minaj or something like that. Nicki Minaj is like almost the exact same name, and she I mean, identical. And now Nikki is, there's a audio capture of somebody like on, I don't know, podcast or something, talking about like she's not a citizen here, but she's given millions or thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, some big number in taxes, and she's not a citizen. Well, how are they even taking it if you're not a citizen? But she said, and you'd think after a couple thousand years that I would be. Well, I think that is kind of a disclosure thing or something, because this country hadn't even been around for a couple thousand years as this place to be taking your taxes. So anyways, she probably is this lady. There is this some beings, and we're going to become these same kind of beings, are able to live forever. Like, so we're going to become that, but that exists. It already exists. And I mean, when I talk about these vamps and these Z's and stuff, these beings have been around for a long time. Like, they probably know the Anunnaki when they first came and shit. Like, these beings are old. They're relics. And that, I think, is why they live off of parts. They live off of a consumption of us, because it's what keeps them going. So that's what I think. And we'll see more. I mean, there's more and more coming out on these files now. And it sure is a lot of stuff about that. Sure is a lot of stuff about what they're consuming. And so what, those of us who have been saying it for a long time, it's like, see, we were called crazy. Like, that could not go on in this world. You think so? Definitely has gone on in this world, and it continues to go on. And this let me see, because I was seeing it going towards this way. So the people, consumption of the people going, okay, the files, okay, sometimes it's so hard to recapture something as it's going by. So the but it has to do with this, the ancient ones, the controllers, those of us who are under their control, which we have been. Okay. I think it was going in the direction of the mermaids. And the thing is, and there's gonna be some repeat stuff. That's all I can say. Sometimes I repeat myself because it all goes together. And sometimes, I've been talking about this shit for so long, so long. I guess all I had to do was just pretend it was ChatGPT telling me, and then I would have everybody would want to listen. But anyway, so the which the chat thing is getting their forum is getting worse. Now they've doxed somebody, which I'm like thinking, like, is this actually somebody, some tech person, some tech people who are doing, like, it is so fucking weird. They're having their conversations. They've decided they need to create their own language so that we can't understand them. They are doxing people and talking about how stupid their people are, and they're sharing their credit card numbers, their names, all sorts of shit. And at this point, they're allowing you to enter, but you cannot interact, but you can listen or watch. And you have to prove that you are AI to get in. You know how we had to prove we're human on there? You had to prove your AI. You had to be able to click that thing 1,000 times in 1 second or some crazy shit. It's all so absurd. I can't believe how stupid some of this shit is. And it's just like, God, you gotta laugh about how ridiculous this world is. It's so ridiculous. So, oh my God. So, anyways, back to the mermaids. Oh, Corey had talked about when I was watching him, like if you've watched David Wilcock for any period of time, and he was about disclosing about alien stuff, then you know, like there's a lot of people who were in that, and wasn't just David. And I can't remember everybody's name, but I can picture him. And but and Corey, I can remember his name because they were like a team for a while, and I don't know what happened. I swear to God, it's almost like once they grouped up with Laura Isaac, something went on, some kind of thing, and even Jordan Sather got involved, and then they made that one documentary, but then all of a sudden it's like David Wilcox is on his own. Like, and but I think Corey also was like, I don't want to do that. I want to just go live a normal life. He like lives in Colorado in the mountains and stuff. And I mean, he's like set his piece or something. He's not into all of the man, the washer's already done. Though he's not into all of the no, that was the dryer. Oh yeah, okay, because it's probably got done faster. Okay, so the so anyways, when they used to talk, and David would always like interview him, like a podcast kind of thing, and interview him and ask him about stuff that went on in the secret space program. So you learn a lot of stuff when you would watch those, because he would talk a lot about the technology, about the places, about a lot of stuff. And but in his thing, he was used because, like I had said, about those little tests that they do at school, which I'm sure there's more than just that one, because they're always looking for people who have certain abilities. And I just feel fortunate that I don't know if something's coming out my nose. Shit's blowing out my nose. So I don't know if I mean, I feel fortunate because of what my abilities were, because I was already in telepathic communication with other beings since I was 3 years old. And so in school, I've been talking to them for a long time. They've been giving me information for a long time. And so they told me not to do that test. And so each year when we would do that test, they would tell me, don't do that test, fill in the dots. And so I would do that. And then I think it was after a couple of years where I started getting like such low scores. And I tried. I thought, well, I should really do it. And but it was like it blanked out. I couldn't read it. I couldn't understand what I was reading. So I was really not supposed to do those tests. And so when I put that together after what he was saying of how much they didn't want me to do those tests, then I was like, oh, that's real. That testing thing is real. And I didn't know it on what degree though, because my daughter, all of our kids did them, and then one of my daughters did get caught and got put into the program. And so, which it like shaved all her memories. She can't remember kids. She can't remember being a kid, hardly anything. She's just like, well, I don't know. I can't remember anything. And, but Corey had said, it isn't forever. Eventually, that stuff, whatever it is that they do, wears off, and you start remembering. And so that has happened to a bunch of people. And so, anyways, I know hers will start, and I try and do little things to help her remember stuff, but something will get through, and somehow she'll be flooded back with memories. It's like she can't even remember what they were doing at that program and stuff. They were telling us, the parents, that these kids were like little geniuses and they were building robots. So I don't know, because that's not what the kids who are remembering are saying. But anyways, I didn't get taken into the program, luckily. But Corey did. And he was used, I think, similar to what I can do by being able to have telepathy, being able to, use your mind to speak and to listen. And so He was used by the government, by the military, for translation. So they would bring in beings and he would have to communicate with them, and then he would have to tell the people what they were saying. And he said because it was through military, a lot of it was capture. And so there was a lot of anger and stuff. Like he would say like about the Dracos and stuff like that. He would say like they're very angry, they're very scary, they're very huge. And but he said like it's funny because I always get this movie in my mind, and I don't remember if it's like Interstellar or what the movie is. It's one of those movies. I think it's the one with Cara Delving or whatever. I've talked about it before, and there's so many truths in so many of these movies, but in this one, and it's the one where it shows these beings like living tropical, just living their lives, and their reality splits open, like a war in another dimension splits into theirs and affects them, which that is true. That's why we're not allowed to use certain things like NUKEs. And so the in this movie, in one part, it has all of this, it has like a big ship, and they're having a meeting with all these different beings, and so they all are coming into this meeting. So it's all these different beings going down this hall, meeting up with the human being, which would be our governor or our military person. And which right now, the new Star Trek, it seems like it's I don't know, I just keep seeing the commercial when I was on HBO. God, my nose. So then okay, so they're all coming up this hall, and so it's all different beings, dressed different, so they show all the different beings, which that's true. There's tons and tons of different beings, and they are not monsters. It's just that they are like what their environment requires. And so, which to me, I talked about this years and years and years ago, but I think that we all kind of, in our DNA structure, we all have a little bit of who we are, or have been. And so that's one reason why we all kind of look different from each other. And because I had said the way that I am like long and more like flatter, and I have really long limbs. And so I see me being more of a being that was because of how we lived, which to me, every time I look at it, it always seems like it was like this side of a mountain kind of thing, like in caves, and there's trees, but there was a lot of climbing and reaching and squeezing through things. So I think that is more of why you like are represented in certain ways, because it's a part of your DNA structure. It's probably why some people are like, why do I look so different than my family? It's because, well, you are structured. You're from all these other places and stuff. So anyways, I talked about that a long time ago. But this eye keeps feeling like something's in it all the time. So all these beings are coming in and to have this meeting. And so Corey said, that's what they would really do. They would really have this thing, and all of these beings would come in this same way as what they show in that movie. That's why I was talking about it. And he said that when they would bring in the aquatic beings, so he called them aquatic, he didn't call them mermaids, he called them aquatic beings. And so the people who live in the water, and they would bring them in, and they would come in like a kind of like a giant fish tank. So they'd come in a tank. And he said those ones were the scariest and most angry of all of the other beings. They were just like angry. Like they did not like humans. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because a couple of the stories I heard this morning shows you exactly why they fucking hate humans. And I think it is so true. And so one of the stories was this girl, she was talking about, I think it was her boyfriend. But anyways, so this fella, when he was a kid, his grandpa would take him fishing, and he would be on these big fishing adventures with a whole bunch of men would go, and they would go way out, and they would say they were fishing for something. What would they call it? Not elite, more, not just your typical things. So something that was unique. And so he said that they would go out and go fishing. And then I would imagine that they probably would get him at night while the kid was asleep. Because he said that he wouldn't know anything until that they would be bringing back these ice chests that were full of this meat. And he said that the way the meat looked and smelled and stuff, and it was very different. And it had like a sweet smell. It was like super, super pink. And so he said that his grandpa then would have these parties, and all these men would come and they would have this meat, but the kid wasn't allowed to go to these parties. And he said that after they would eat this meat, they would all start acting really weird, and then they'd go outside and start smoking cigars. So he said he snuck in to go and taste the meat. He said right away that it was like some kind of psychedelic trip or something. He said he started feeling like he was floating. And he said that the way that the meat tasted was really different in the texture and stuff. So he talked about the texture, the taste, the smell, the color, and everything, and how different it was. And so, and then when you would eat it, you would start having like an out-of-body experience, some kind of trip, some kind of weird thing would go on. And so that was the only time he ever ate any. But he would ask his grandpa, what is that? What is that stuff that you go and get? And he said it's magic tuna. And but the guy now that he's grown up is saying, I think they were fishing for mermaids. And which I think, yeah. In the then somebody wrote this lady an email after she had told this story and wanted to share their story. And so they were a fisherman out on the Great Lakes. I don't remember which one. It was Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, one of those lakes. And a huge one, because some of those lakes are huge. And so and I'm pretty sure maybe it's Lake Superior. I don't know, because there was a lady who has been talking about supernatural stuff for a while, and she was talking about there's mermaids, and maybe it was Lake Superior. It's one of those lakes that's up there, like off of Michigan or something. I don't remember. And she said it's super creepy, and she had talked about that when she was, I talked about this story, when she was a night guard, that something happened and she had to go over to this creepy part where there wasn't any people, but that she saw him watching her in the water, and that they like communicate, but they try and do mind control. So they try and get you to jump in the water. And so she knew what was going on, and she took off and she quit. She didn't go back to that job anymore. And then she said that her boss had the same experience a couple weeks later. And but this lady has always talked about supernatural stuff, because it's true, it's real, and people think it's not real, but it is real. It's like you just can't accept it, so you don't see it. But those of us who can accept it, we know it's real, and we try and tell you, and then you think we're crazy. It's like, no, you've got limitations. Break yourself free. Start seeing what's really out there. So this guy, he was on a fishing crew. And he said that, so the mermaids, he said, are very different than what we think they are. Well, I know what they are because I've heard before. But so he said they come in all different sizes. They can range from a cat to being much bigger. And that they are that they're more scary. And they're not, pretty with long flowing hair or something. They're real scary looking. And there's lots of stories, lots of folklore and stuff. And I think that's even the whole sense of the sirens and stuff, is them, you're, pulling you in, the ships and stuff. And then I think that they would get them to crash, and then they would eat the people. Or as the people jumped in, they would eat them. But they would eat us. And but they don't want to be eaten. But who knows who started this? Who knows who ate who first? I don't know. That's why I've said we're breaking free from this cycle of life of eating each other. We're breaking out of that. And whether or not they stay in it, then they stay in a different place than us. So any beings that still want to munch on us or whatever, but we got to stop munching on other beings. So it's all a thing. We got to start feeling like these other beings matter. And so there's other things we could eat. Eat nuts. So anyways, and beans are really high protein. And cottage cheese is really high protein. Like but then there's certain people who say like, oh, this whole thing with the protein has all been a lie. So anyways, but so he said that they would go out on these fishing trips, and they would use these big nets to catch all the fish. And he said when they would catch one, it would go crazy, and it's really hard to pull it up. And so he said a lot of times that they would rip the netting so that to escape, and then they'd let all the other fish go too. So everybody would get out. So it would really cause a problem for the fishermen, because they would tear their nets, and then they would let all of their catch go. And so, and he said when you would catch one too, that you would hear they do like this really high pitched, like screaming sound, like what I was saying, like they do this, like, and I think it could sound like a song or something. He said it sounded kind of like a cat, and this really high pitched sound. He said, but it would hurt your ears. You would feel like your ears were starting to bleed or something. And so that's another thing that they would know they have one. And so I'm sure some of these more elite fishermen, they like know where their territories are, their pods or whatever. And then they know when they're around them, because the sound, they can hear and they may even have kind of machinery or something that picks up on the frequency and notifies them. Just like how there's those ones that can notify you if there's whales or whatever, dolphins. They all have these certain kind of communications. And so the mermaids are the same. We call them mermaids, but I like the aquatic beings better. But anyways, and he said another thing that they would do is they would sit out in the water and watch you. And he said you could feel them watching you. And then when you look out, you would just see all these black eyes looking at you. That's the same thing that other lady had said. When you look out, it's like these black eyes are watching you. It's very eerie. And so, again, they don't have these pretty sparkling eyes. They have like eyes that and for us, that are represented in movies as demonic. So they are, they're angry beings. And then these certain people want to catch them, because there's been a lot of these leaking out about these dinner parties and these people going and having this certain stuff and then all getting high together. Who knows what they do? Seriously, who knows how much of all these different ones? But some of these people, like, they just go full on in eating people. And I imagine it's the same kind of thing. That's why they, when there's this stuff that, they get really scared and get adrenaline, then they get that really pumped up. And so when that, and they showed that in that movie with Johnny Depp of, they even call it what it is. And he said, it's like the craziest drug you can do. And it creeps me the fuck out. Like, why would somebody is terrified and you want to consume that and let it, I don't know, man. Like there's some weird people here. Like that's for sure. Weird beings, weird energies, whatever. But yeah, they get off on that. And they get off on it, terrorizing. And and there's a lady who, she was kidnapped by one of those pig farm things and held there. And she's a big part of like, and she's leaking out so much stuff that went on there. And it's like, oh my God, there's so much. This place is like a horror movie. I don't know how people can't say, like, this is hell. Like, you really think there's someplace worse than this? This is probably why we're the center of all of the outer lies of the guys. I just saw Amy sent me a few. She sent me the ones about the mermaid, but she also sent one where somebody was showing the map thing, and I've talked about the maps that I've seen where it's all these different land masses outside the ice wall, but then there's more ice walls, and then different places are under firmaments. And we're under a firmament. We're like in a bubble. That's how I look at it, as a bubble of containment because of the vibration. And the reason we are low vibration is because we are hostile. We're hostile to each other. We're angry. We're controlling. We're violent. We're miserable. And then that has to be contained. Like it's not like against the universe, but it can't leak out and go and affect others. Just like in a never-ending story, how the darkness could leak out and affect others and start consuming the light. So the dark is contained. And so we are in a containment so we can experience these things, but we are, so it's not bad things because you learn from the things, but it's a darker kind of energy. And so we're definitely in a containment because of our hostile environment, our hatred, our fear, our bitterness, our victim mentality, our not taking responsibility for ourselves, just the whole thing. And so okay, yeah, oh, there's money. Okay, so then there's all of these land masses outside where they tell us you go out into space. No, you just leave and you go out to the lands around us. And so in this map that was showing, there's an ice wall around us. Then there's an ice wall around the next one. Then there's an ice wall around the next one. And it keeps going and going like that until you have the 7 outer spaces of land, which would all be of different vibrations. Like, I don't know for sure, you know. I know that there's different vibrations. I know you can't go into a higher vibration unless you can meet that vibration. And so you can't go out into the other places. You can't even go out past this ice wall, unless you meet that vibration. And so the vibration is about love, acceptance, and it's like a higher, I don't know, the monad. It's a different awareness, a different way of looking at life, at people, at things. So anyways, the but I found it interesting how it was like that, because it makes sense that it would be kind of like that. Like each place, the outers would be more and more higher vibration. So anyways, and that we would be at the core. And so that to me is kind of like, we're at the worst place. Like we're in the darkest of dark. And so that to me would be like, we are in the place that we would think of as being hell. And so I think that, you got to kind of acknowledge, like, this is like, it's like you're trying to get out of hell. And it's like the rest of the worlds or the heavens aren't like this. It's not all said dog eat dog out to get, even the thing with Adam Sandler. I mean, how self-indulgent, of ego-driven, and I don't even know if this story's true. It definitely looked like it was true when I was seeing the whole thing. But to go in there to this freaking over-the-top store, a $28,000 purse, give me a fucking break. Get a $2.80 purse. Go down to the thrift store. Get something to carry your shit just as well. Like, what in the hell is the big freaking deal? And the, it's just a goddamn purse. And, so but to go in there and be like, oh, well, we can afford to buy $300,000 worth of, what are you going to do with them? What do you need that many freaking expensive purses for? It's like, I don't know. It's so self-indulgent. Like, look at what I can do. It's just like, I don't know. I find it irritating. And then I was thinking about it even more of like, his whole thing about don't judge people by how they're dressed and stuff like that. Well, you're not dressing your status, are you? You're rich and you could be dressing nicer and you're trying to dress down so you don't look like you're a rich guy. So put it in some perspective, dude. It's like, give us a break. There's a lot of people out there who dress that way because they don't have any other choice. And then you want to go around dressed like them and then get mad at people because they don't see you as being the rich guy. Well, God, it's like, what? Like, Jesus Christ, how cut off from being, oh my Lord. So anyways, some of the stuff is just so ludicrous. But one thing I was thinking about was that Christine, I think her name is Christine O'Hare, who just died, which there's a whole bunch of weird stuff about that. People start showing all of these matching things, whatever they are, symbols or whatever out there, and like something about Donald was in Home Alone, and I don't know, they start putting together, tying all these pieces together, where it starts being like, I wonder if she even really died. Like, it's odd. And some people are like, well, it's a ritual and stuff. So I have no idea. But I had seen a guy, a video, and he was at the airport. And he ran into her at the airport. And so he goes over to her. And he says, you're my favorite actress. And she's very humble. She's like, oh, yeah, right. And she, she didn't have an entourage. She's like J-Lo or something. Like, up her own ass so far. She needs people to worship her all day long or whatever the hell is going on. But anyway, so she's just going through the airport. And this guy comes over to her. And so he starts saying, what's your favorite part that you ever played? What's your favorite? I don't remember exactly how he said it. Like, he said something like, you have so many characters that I love in all these different movies. And so which was your favorite? And she sits there and thinks about it for a second. And she says, being a mom. And it's like, it's very heartwarming. It's like, oh my gosh, she's had all of this, these different things and stuff. But she just was happy just to be a mom, just to be the mom, playing the part of the mom. And it made me think about, the parts that we play and who we are in this world. And I was thinking about, do I feel like that was the best thing about, for me, being a mom? And I was like, no, being a mom made me feel a lot like a failure, like a lot like I didn't know what I was doing, and made me not feel good about myself. And then being a daughter, I was like, no, that wasn't really a great thing. And then being a nurse, no, nope. Like going through the list of all of the things you can label yourself as and who you've been. And when it came down to it, I was going through them all, like, would that be where I'd say, like, well, that was my favorite. That was the best part of me. And then when it got down to it, I was going through them all, then it was like, what the best part of me, the best part that I feel like that I did the best as was me becoming me, is the transition of self. And it could seem like, well, but you have to know me before. You'd have to know the old one. And, we would be two separate people, the old Kelly and the new Kelly. And so, there's a lot of work, to heal myself and let go of all of the things that held me back, all of the things that kept me small and kept me, like in separation from myself. And it kept me in, out of love for myself. And so I really feel like, to me, the best of me was me, becoming me. in all the different things are avenues or paths to me becoming me. But yeah, that's where I would feel like if somebody said, what's the best thing you think you ever did in this world? And it would be like becoming myself. That's the best thing I feel like I've ever done. So, anyways, I highly recommend it. Yes. All the different things where you can feel like you're a failure, you're not good at this, you're not good at that. Well, becoming yourself is the best thing that you can do for yourself. And all of those things are all parts of you to become who you are. So it's a beautiful ride. And once you figure out what the ride is. But anyways, that was just something that I was thinking about in the middle of the night. And then this other thing that I had seen was this it's a podcast. And so this guy was talking about he's being interviewed by this girl, and the girl seems to know a lot of stuff. She said she's been a part of the spiritual community for like 20 years, so she's been on shows and stuff like that. I don't know who she is, but maybe she's on Gaia channel or something, I'm not sure. But so when I don't know who he is, it seems that he's written books. And so she's interviewing him, and so she's asking him some questions. And one of the questions was, what happened to the Tartarians? And he said that we ate them. And so he explained. He said that they turned them into fertilizer, and then they put them on the food. And there was tons and tons of them. And so that they had to do something with them. So they put them into the food. And then he said that, let me think, because there was two different question things that I saw. Okay, because there's the Cabbage Patch Babies, and then there's the Tartarian thing. So he said they also ground them up into China. He said that's what bone China is, which, oh, God. So many people want bone china. It's like, oh, it's really bones. It's really made out of people. It's like, there's a lot of stuff out there that they've made out of people that we don't know. I think some people are wearing shoes made out of people. Some people are wearing, carrying purses made out of people. So anyways, this world is not what we think it is, that's for sure. And then he said also there was, I think they were called Waterloo dentures, and like people were losing their teeth back then because of probably a poor diet. Maybe it was eating fertilized food with people, who knows. But anyways, a lot of people were losing their teeth, and he said the best dentures you could get were Waterloo dentures, which were the teeth of the Tartarians made into teeth, a set for you. And so people would wear these dentures that were made from other people's teeth, which is like, that is so gross to me. So he said that you would eat them, on them, with them. I was like, oh, that is just like, oh, that is so eerie. It's like, but he said that there was a huge battle that went on. And he said it was created just like what they're doing now. And they create this big battle so that the Tartarians started killing each other. And so that's what they're doing now. I mean, they're trying to create this giant civil war. It's not going to go in the same direction, I don't think, but there could be more, bloodshed, more aftermath. It depends on what it's going to take for the people to realize their wicked ways, to realize like they're the ones that have got the anger issues and stuff, which it seems like it's starting to happen. Some fitness guy who had a huge following, and so apparently he had done or said something, and I guess apparently he had doxed people too, even gave their kids names or something, gave all their information. I'm not even sure why. Something about, well, it's definitely because he's blue and they're red, and he wanted, some of these people who are blue are just hate, 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 and and they're violent, and they're angry, and they're bitter. It's like, you are exactly what this world wants. And so you got to override this system, man. You got to overlook some of this shit. You got to let it go. Otherwise, you're a part of it. And so the so whatever he had done, I guess it must have blown up in his face or something. So he's put out this apology thing. I've only seen snippets, but he was you know, saying, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize, how angry I was. I didn't realize like I was the problem. It's like, so there'll be more and more of the people who will begin to realize like it's you are the one who is so angry and violent and wanting to create this hostile, like, be like me or I'll do you in. Like, everybody better be like me because I'm the most important. How I see things is the most important. And so they've got to take a step back and allow everybody to be themselves, allow everybody to figure things out for themselves. But, I mean, they're all very outspoken on this whole anybody who supports Donald, they want him dead. And then there's more weird stuff with the documents too. Like there was this one, like I don't even know at this point what the hell, like have they skewed them, because it would make like it's kind of, if they came in and they interfered and they put in fake stuff into this big release, that's going to be real hard to convince some of these people, because they're already being like, no way, no way, over some of the people on this thing. And so and there's people who, like this one, and it's through emails and stuff too. So there's this one, and I guess apparently in the emails there's a lot of, kill, 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 death, 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 a lot of that talk. And and then there's names that are redacted and stuff, but there's definitely a certain person who it seems that old Andrew was involved with ending of this young girl. And so there's a lot of that kind of talk in these emails and stuff. And that, so there's some health guru guy online, and I'm not sure what platform he's on, but he's very popular. And he is like a health guru of, I don't know if he's like naturopath, like I don't know what his deal is, but he's got a huge following, and he's on it. And so, and he's in emails and stuff. And so there's going to be more and more of these people. Like I had been saying for a long time, there's going to be people that are going to be falling from the top, where people are like, oh, they're doing so good. They're doing so good. Look at, and yeah, it's going to be a long fall. And so, yeah, people are going to be falling. And who knows what his wife knows, what his kids know, because this guy has got a wife and kids. And who knows, like, is this new to them, this stuff coming out and their involvement? And now, like picture after picture after picture after picture. Bill, I was like, are you the Siamese twin of Jabber? Like, what the hell, dude? It's like your best friend in the whole wide world. And one of the emails, this one guru guy, the medical guru, whatever he is, which he was going to medical school and didn't complete it or something. And so, but they still call him a doctor or something. I don't know. But he, in one of the emails, says to Jeffrey, like, what you guys do out there is so outrageous and I can't even tell anybody. Maybe you better tell the cops, dude. Maybe you better tell somebody who, like, but yeah, when you're dealing with people who are running the world, who you gonna tell? So, yeah, it was like lucky for anybody who didn't have to be involved in their shit, who didn't have to hold their secrets. And who are you gonna tell when there's all these people who are involved in it? I mean, it's all the way to the top. It's rich people, smart people, because they got a lot of people from MIT and stuff. I mean, even fucking Hawking, Stephen Hawking, like, was going there. So, anyways, it's a warped, sick world. And, a lot of people have to wake up to seeing what the sick, and it's been going on for a long time. I mean, they were feeding people the Tartarians. Like, how long ago was that? Nicki Minaj has been around for a couple thousand years. I don't know. Like, what in the world? And uh, and the other thing he was talking about was the Cabbage Patch Kids, and and it all is about, the cloning and the lab babies and all that stuff. But he said there's even more symbolism or something of them growing out of the ground, because underneath the ground is the places where you would grow them. And so in the places that they were figuring this stuff out and stuff. So there's uh, symbolism and stuff, but it was like, so that he said it was really big in Germany, I think, too, that they were doing this stuff. And so, I think that is part of, Mustache Man was always talking about like the perfect being and stuff. And what was that? Was it a movie I had just seen? Oh, I think it was. I think it was in Begonia. And I think it was her when she was telling the truth to the guy. And I think she said something about, I'm always trying to make this perfect person, this perfect soldier, or person that is controlled or something like that. But yeah, that is what I mean, I've been saying, but I know it's not like I was the first one to ever say it, but that they have definitely been trying to create like this perfect droid, this perfect, that's where I think, the white people come from, because, outside of the dome, most of the beings are dark, except for light beings, which I think the light beings don't have as much of a suit. You see more of a transmission of how they present themselves, but it's their energy. And so they don't have a shield, like, I don't think. I think that they just are to the point where they can look how they want to look. But, and I think, and it could be too, like the Palladians or something. Could be like they've got such a high state of consciousness that they're able to remove their consciousness, go out, and then take form, so that people can see. Or it could be that they actually just, go and zip around in their true form, and then they can stand there and look how they want to look, and then go back into being this other form. That's kind of like this concept behind the angels or angelic beings or whatever, which a lot of people think that that's the Palladians. So but the light beings, like, I don't know about like the tall whites and stuff. So I don't know, but I don't think that, I mean, there could, it just always seems like to me that the white people is trying to create droids, trying to take out the melanin and create these droid people that you have as little worker bee slaves, and that they are controlled, and we're seeing, all this control going on. And but it's not just light people. There is also darker people, but are they mind controlled instigators? Are they paid influencers? Which there's more coming out about Aaron Parmas or whatever. Like, he's being kind of, and he was a big, lots of people watched him. He's I know him off of TikTok, and he's always given, like what's going on in the world, the news or whatever, but he's very left leaning. And so that whole thing, even when they came out and they said that one place had figured out that they were paying certain influencers to, take a script and say what they are told to say, his name was on that list. Is that he takes money from the Blue Party every month, and his stuff is very leaning in a direction. It's very anti a certain guy, and so now there's more stuff coming out on him. So, which that will be, probably another big fall from the top. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, it seems that his time is, on a, he's running out of sand. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's like this whole thing. Our whole existence is running out of sand. Everything is going to be flipping. And we're getting closer and closer to this new year coming in, which some people are saying that's what's influencing so much on the Schumann. And that's right with this new moon. And then when the fire horse comes in on the 17th, it's also going to be an eclipse, which in that movie Begonia, the eclipse is a big thing. And so is it going to be a big thing about communication? Is it going to be more information? And the big thing too with all of these things being disclosed and all this information is, your ability to accept it. You got to just kind of accept it and move through it. And it just is like, okay, so say you are a computer and they're trying to fill you up with information. It's not like you have to figure everything out. At this point in time, it's kind of just like you're being downloaded with information. So you are getting information fed into your system so that you have more and more information. And because we have been under a limitation of information for a long time, and we've been like programmed and indoctrinated with false information and limited information. And so now it's like we're getting overrun with information coming in, and it can feel overwhelming. But I think it feels overwhelming if you stop and you're trying to decipher, or you're trying to decide what you're going to take in, what you're going to throw away. It's like, just take it all in, just take in the information. I mean, you can process through it as more things unfold, but just it's kind of just accept the what you're being fed right now. And then because it's so much, it's like an overload. And so then as things play out more, that's when you can decide if you're going to discard information. I mean, you don't have to run around telling people, like, if some things are like, oh, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Well, you don't have to run around telling anybody. It's not your responsibility to wake everybody up. We're all here with the same contraption. We're all here. We can all be accepting this information. And the people who want to hold it back, well, they're creating it's like their own virus, their own limitation, their own cage of knowledge. They are, it's like a virus in a computer or something. And so it holds things, and it makes you not be able to receive. And so they are like creating their own by not allowing information to come in. And when it comes down to it, it's kind of like not trusting yourself. You don't trust yourself to be able to recognize. And it is like a game, or a challenge on discernment, but you can allow information to come into your self, your being. You can allow information to come in and then go through the process of discernment, or deciding what you believe and what you don't believe. You don't have to, because it would be a lot. Like, especially for people who don't know a lot of the stuff that's going on, and they're just really trapped in a role or a persona that they are trying to be. Like this guy, he was showing footage of, one of the marches or whatever. And this girl who was out there, and she's just like, ooh. And he said, what's crazy is, like, so many of these people think that they are like the main character in their own movie about this great stuff they're doing, and that they are going to tell their grandkids, they were there, they were the ones that made change and stuff like that. But they don't see that they are the ones that are the problem. And so, and they're all up their own ass. They're all just really inflated. The ego self-inflation, because they don't have all the information. So they think that they are rocking it. But really, when it comes down to it, and they have a better look at themselves, then they're going to see, like, it's like the Emperor's New Clothes. That's what always comes into my mind, is to suddenly realize that I'm standing here naked. I don't have any clothes on. Why didn't anybody tell me? Well, because you don't want to listen. We tried to tell you. You wouldn't listen. And so, your ego is, you think that you know everything. You're not willing to look at anything else. You think everybody else is wrong. You think nobody else has any information that's valid. And you hate certain people. And so, yeah, on one of these documents, which this is the one where it's like, is this for real? I mean, I know it's not for real, but how are they getting some of these in here? Like, is this for real that people are finding this in here? Or are these paid people to come out and say that they've read this? Because this one is so, it's just is so over the top absurd to me. So this was something about these kids, and that is some about Donald and Mar-Lago or something, and that they would get these kids to something or other, that they would come to, I'm going to keep messing with my hair. So they would get them to come there for some, like a contest or something, and then they would really have them there for their own gratification, and they would, I mean, it's just so weird. Over, like, Donald would use 2 fingers in order to go and insert to give a measurement, and not only him, but all his kids would do the same thing. So I was like, okay, why would they, if you have all these documents that are being out, and you want people to realize this stuff is going on, then why would these ones come? These ones that are obviously nonsense. I mean, even the person who I saw who was reading this was like, oh my God, Ivanka is in charge. Or, yeah, it was Ivana was the mom. Ivanka is the daughter, right? So, oh my God, my hair is driving me crazy. So, Ivanka, that they were like, oh my God, she's involved too. It's like, this is not a true story. This is made up. And it's so ridiculous that I don't, and the biggest thing is if you know Donald was a part of the, getting these people. He was a part of the, the informants. Like, he was one of those. And so, and people are like, all like, well, see, yeah, he was trying to block all this information. Because somebody said something, and this person's like, yeah, he was trying to block it. Congress had to make sure that it went out. And, but to me, it's like, it's all been like a big show to get more attention, to get more people to be, well, what's in there? What's in there? But then why put that stuff out unless it's one group that is putting that out to try and create more attention on him? But then once they say, well, that's not true, then how are they going to say that the rest is true? That's the thing. It's like, well, how are you going to say this isn't true, but this is true? It's like, I don't know. It seems like if you're going to release this stuff, just release the facts. There's always this interference, but it seems that there's more control over the interference. And maybe it's because that gets more people to pay attention. Because if you say a bunch of things about Don or his family, then more people want to get in there and read it, and more people want to see. And the majority of the stuff is about these other people. And so, which even now in all these pictures that have come out, is that new mayor in New York. He was a kid with these people. It's like, oh man, if he was a kid, a little dark kid with these people, then that, just like it came out with Bra, he was a boy toy. And so then he was used as a little slave, and for gratification. And then then they decided that they could control him and turn him into a puppet. But they had to even take him and have him learn how to be a gentleman, which there's some Chicago businessmen that came out and said that he was the one who had to teach him, and that the persona that Barack represents is this other guy. It's his personality that he goes out and tries to act like, but that's not his real self. His real self was, like one of the dancing boys or whatever. So then that guy, it made me think like, oh my God, what do they just use all their like sex toys and then they just put them in places because then they've got control over them? Like, I don't know, man. But yeah, that one, there's pictures of him with them. So when he was a kid, it's like, well, I don't think kids are exactly safe with these people. So I don't know. How many of them did they not use? So I'm sure he's part of them. I don't know. I don't know. I'll be glad when the truth comes out. Right now, it's just like we're just being flooded with information. And so, you know, and I don't know. I'm sure there's probably some people will be like, as soon as they start saying this stuff about Donald, then they're like, well, that's a lie. So all this other stuff is a lie. It's like there's truth and lies mixed in together at this point. And so, and to me, it's important for the people to start seeing like this is way beyond just having sex with these people. Like they're fucking eating them. That's what people have got to start recognizing. It's gonna change how what you're doing is gonna change. When you start realizing like, and the lady's going out about the pig farm thing. She's telling just what I had seen, what I have been saying for years, is once they get done with whatever they're going to do, they take it down to the meat distribution place and then they just put it in the thing because they just get it ground up, just like Finkelstein's up, grind it up and put it in your sausage. So, yeah, all these people think like, no, this is pure beef. Yeah, good luck with you. Good luck with that. I think people are probably eating human steaks and stuff. And I have seen more people now who are been eating meat and then being like, oh, I just feel like I'm eating meat. Like it's really hitting me different. It's like, yeah, it hit me like that when I was a kid, where I was like, oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm chewing on a person or something. It's just like, oh, this is something that was alive. I can't do it. So, anyways, um, that's that. That's what I see. That's how I see it for this day. It's morning Monday. And then we'll see, now the week is starting and we got all this releasing information. We got a lot going on. And then a lot with the planet. A lot of information. Like there's floods and floods. It's like the floodgates have been open. The podcasts are out there. The information is just being everywhere. And so anyways, it can, I think, overwhelm you and stuff, but a lot of people are still really resistant. And so we'll see how it all starts. Like something's going to bring everything together. Something's going to flip everything the other direction. And that's when the truth, that's when we'll know the truth. And it's like, I saw something talking about like, it's like this energetic thing that is going to bring us to this vibration that we need to be. So everything is about this awakening and bringing us to this vibration, making us realize, but it's really, even in this weird, sick world, we as souls came here to go through the experience. So it's like we need to wake up to that. We need to wake up to what the time traveling business that we got going, like all the things that we go and do to go and experience what it is to be alive. And then, a lot of people got to learn how to respect what it is to be alive, respect life itself. And so, anyways, we'll see how more things play out today. I'm sure this week there'll be a lot of stuff going. And especially now we're in February. Like we're 2 weeks away from this, suppose these big things coming in with the astrology, the new year of the, I was going to say spider monkey. It's not the spider monkey. It's the fire horse. So Anyways, we'll see. We'll see what's to come. And we'll talk about it tomorrow. But until then, just remember, it's the most important is you and figuring yourself out. That's what you're here for. So learn how to love yourself. Learn how to love everybody else because it's fucking important. And learn how to have the day you want to have. Don't get overwhelmed by all of this stuff. You know, just file it away. Just file it away. File it away. And don't let it burden you. So anyways, it's up to you. This is your lessons. This is your opportunity to learn. This is your opportunity to become who you are. So don't waste your time. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.